Everyone, and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level science lesson, and today we're just going to be talking about general science. So what is science? Science is about asking questions and learning about how things work in the world around us. And can you think of some of the things that you might learn in a science class? And here are some examples. The DNA, uh, the anatomy of a cell, atoms and protons, neutrons, about equipment like a microscope, um, parts of the body, the food chain, uh, weights and pulleys. So all kinds of things fall under various areas of science. So let's look at some science vocabulary and see if you can figure out which of these words match with each sentence. You can pause the video and try that on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, number one, a living creature that can move and eat is an animal. The invisible gas around us that we breathe is air. A liquid that we drink and use for many things, that's water. The star that gives us light and heat would be the sun. A living thing that grows in the ground is a plant. And the planet where we live is Earth. All right, here are a few more. Go ahead and try these on your own. And then restart when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, the tiny building block of all things would be an atom. A hard material that is found in the ground is rock. The basic unit of life found in plants and animals is a cell. The power that makes things work is energy. The force that pulls things towards the ground is gravity. And a push or pull that can make things move or change their shape is force. All right, now see if you can match the image with the type of science. Again, you can try that on your own, restart, and then to check your answers. Okay, so letter A is physics. Letter B is chemistry. Letter C is earth science. And letter D is biology. All right, now see if you can complete the sentences with the words from the boxes. Again, you can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, so a scientist is a person who studies things to learn more about them. They use a hypothesis to do experiments, or sorry, no, they would use a laboratory to do experiments and gather data. An experiment is a test that they do to learn about a topic. They make observations to collect information. With all this information, they create a hypothesis, which is an idea about how something works. Then they use this to build a theory, which is an explanation based on their observations and experiments. This is a scientist in a laboratory. Okay, so now we're going to read the sentences about observation, hypothesis, and theory. So the observation is that the sun rises in the east every morning. The hypothesis, if the sun rises in the east every morning, then it might set in the west. And the theory is that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west because the earth rotates. All right, so now we're going to talk about observation, hypothesis, or theory. So read the sentences and determine whether it's an observation, a hypothesis, or theory. So an observation is information that you learn when you watch something carefully. So for example, the sun rises in the east every morning. A hypothesis is a possible explanation that scientists might make to test if it is true. So if the sun rises in the east every morning, then it might set in the west. And then a theory is an explanation that scientists use to understand things. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west because the earth rotates. So go ahead and try each of these to determine if it's an observation or a hypothesis or a theory. All right, so here heat causes ice to melt and transform into water. That's a theory. If we put out ice outside, it might melt and turn into water. That's a hypothesis. And when ice is heated, it melts and becomes water. That is an observation. When a magnet is near iron, it attracts the iron. That is an observation. If a magnet is close to iron, it might attract iron. That is a hypothesis. And a magnet has a force that attracts iron due to its magnetic properties. That is a theory. All right, here are a few more. Determine if they are hypothesis, theory, or observation. Okay, if we fill a balloon with helium, it might float. That is a hypothesis. The helium inside the balloon is lighter than the air around it, causing it to rise and float. That is a theory. And some balloons float in air. That is an observation. Leaves fall from the trees in autumn is an observation. Leaves fall from trees in autumn to help trees save energy before the cold season. That is a theory. And if leaves fall from trees in nature, it may be a response to shorter daylight hours and cooler temperatures. That is a hypothesis. All right, here are some science verbs. You're going to look at the sentences and see if you can match the words in bold to the definitions. Again, you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. All right, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west because the earth rotates. So that would be D, to turn or spin around a center point. Heat energy causes ice to melt and transform into water. Transform means to change from one thing into another. The air inside the balloon is lighter than the air around it, causing it to rise and float. So rise means to go up or move higher. Magnets have a force that attracts iron due to their magnetic properties, and attracts is to pull or bring something closer. So what is happening? So use some verbs to describe these pictures. So we could say that the Earth rotates on its axis. Here we're showing that water is being transformed into steam. We could also say that the steam is rising from the pot. Here we're showing that warm air rises. And here we're showing that the paper clips are attracted to the magnet. Okay, affixes. So what is a prefix and what is a suffix? So suffixes are parts of words that are added to the end of a root word. So some examples of that would be less, able, ness, li, and full. And prefixes are word parts that are added to the beginning of a root word. Un, im, re, pre, an, mis, and bio. So find the affix in the sentence and then predict its meaning. So if we start here, it is impossible to mix oil and water. So the affix is im, it's a or prefix, and basically means not. It is not possible to mix oil and water. Here, biology is my favorite subject. So OGY is the suffix. And basically it means the study. Bio means life, so biology is the study of living things. And please be careful in the laboratory. So here, Tori could be, it's a suffix meaning the place where you do something. So we've got labor, so it's the place where you do scientific work or scientific labor. All right, and there are many words in biology that contain affixes. Use the information below to match each word to its meaning. So first let's look at the affixes. Actually, these are all prefixes in science. Hetero means different, homo means the same, bi and di mean two or twice, hydro is water, bio is life or living, micro means small. So if we look at this word, heterogeneous, so hetero means different. So we could see if we can figure out the difference between, or the definition, sorry, of heterogeneous, knowing that hetero means different. So probably I would say a mixture that is not completely mixed, because oil and water are different and therefore you can't mix them. So homogeneous, we know that homo means the same. So that would be a mixture that is the same in all parts, such as salt and water. Binary, so we know that bi means two. So that would be F, consisting or involving two. Hydrology, we know that hydro is water. So hydrology would be a study of water and its properties. Here, bio means life or living, so would be the study of living organisms. And micro means very small, so the study of living organisms that are too small to see. Here are a few more prefixes. Anti means before or in front of. Dis means bad or difficult. Photo means light. Geo is related to Earth. And aqua is equal. So geology, we know from geo that it's related to the Earth. So we can take a guess that it's E, the study of rocks and the Earth's surface. Okay, photosynthesis. So we know photo has to do with light. So that would be D, the process by which plants use sunlight water and carbon dioxide to create oxygen and energy. Equilibrium, we know that equa means equal. So that would be C, a state in which there is balance. Dyslexia, dys means bad or difficult. So that would be an impairment in reading ability. And anterior, anti means before. So that would be A, placed before. So you can see how knowing the meanings of the prefixes and suffixes can help you figure out the meaning of words that you may not know. We're going to do the same thing with suffixes or the endings of the words. So we have ology is the study of something. Osis is the condition or process. Lysis means to destroy or dissolve. Scope is a device used for looking at things. And meter is related to measuring. So dialysis. Okay, so now we know that there's di has to do with two, and alysis is to dissolve or destroy. So would probably mean the removal of waste products from the blood because you're destroying or dissolving those waste products from the blood. Mitosis, so we know that osis is a condition or process. So that would be a method or a process of cell division. Physiology, we know that ology is the study of something. So that would be C, the study of the human body. Telescope, we know that scope is a device for looking at things. So that would be an instrument that is used to view objects that are far away. And thermometer is related to measuring, so it's an instrument to measure temperature. All right, so now you can pause the video, read the text, or you can follow along as I read, and then see if you can identify the prefixes and suffixes. So science helps us to understand the world around us. Scientists use microscopes to see tiny living things. This is called microbiology. They study biology to learn about living organisms and their behavior. Hydrology is about water and its properties, like how it moves and changes. By using these tools and methods, scientists collect data and make discoveries. These discoveries are helpful for understanding our world better. All right, so first we'll do the prefixes in one color. So let's see, micro is a prefix. Again, micro is a prefix. Bio is another prefix. Hydro. Okay, I think that's it for all the prefixes. So I'll change to a different color for the suffixes. So here, tis is a suffix. Scopes. Ology. And then actually, bio is actually another. This one actually has two prefixes and a suffix. Okay, again, let's see. Ology, isms, ology, scientists again, helpful, and I believe that's it. All right, so now match the prefix or suffix with its missing part to create a word. Again, you can pause these, try them on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So students learn about animals and plants in biology class. The patient waited for the doctor to tell him his diagnosis. Geology helps us to understand rocks, minerals, and Earth's history. Marie Curie was a famous scientist who discovered radium, and using a microscope, we can see tiny cells. So plants use photosynthesis to make food from sunlight. Scientists believe that nothing is impossible. Identical twins are homogeneous or homogeneous. I've heard it pronounced both ways genetically. A hydroponic system grows plants without soil. And a thermometer tells us the temperature. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.